The Redwick Flyer had been running successful runs between London and Redwick for a few months now, and the residents of the line praised Mr. Start highly for his genius idea of running a service directly to London. The service had become a staple of the line's reputation, always on time and always a comfortable ride. However, even with all the positives that came with the service, there was a huge, glaring issue that had cost Mr. Start a great deal of trouble. One morning, he was sat at Redwick Station along with Mr. Hoff having breakfast. There, he presented his concerns to his colleague, quite stumped at how to resolve the issue. "I tell you, Jack, it's not looking good. Not good at all."
What do you mean? The service is super popular with anyone who uses it. I haven't seen that many people on the platform in my life.
Yes, this is true, but that's not where the problem lies, Jack. It's the fact that the train is being double-headed, which is causing the service to run at a loss.
Wait, what? At a loss? That's impossible!
Have a look for yourself, Jack. He handed over a small stack of papers. Mr. Hoff quickly skimmed through them. A look of shock grew slowly on his face as he read through the financial report.
Jesus Christ, I had no idea it was that bad.
I fear, if the numbers don't improve soon, I'll have no choice but to cancel the service.
What? But, Bradford, the backlash of that would be terrible!
I'm well aware of this, Jack, and I do have a solution in mind, but I don't think the board will be very agreeable to it.
Why do you say that?
Because it would solve the issue for us, as well as another for you and me.
Go on.
Well, I'm sure you've seen the cathedrals run past Manifel from time to time.
I have?
Well, what if we could get one reallocated here, while sending one of the engines we have here to where that cathedral is allocated? Basically, an overcomplicated swap.
That could work, you know. But why wouldn't they agree to it?
Because of who I want to replace it with.
And that is?
The ringleader of those who oppose me, King Dick himself.
Yeesh! Yeah, that might prove difficult.
Indeed. But you know what they say, nothing ventured,
nothing gained.
It was at that moment that Thor backed down onto the coaches that Rabbit shunted into the platform earlier. Well, no time like the present. Come on, Jack.
What? Where are we going?
To the meeting at Manifel in a few hours.
But I've never been invited to one of those before.
Oh, you'll hate it. Boring as fuck. Besides, I need you by my side on this one. Can I count on you to back my corner with the roster change?
Of course you can.
Good man. The two boarded Thor's train to Manifel, and not long after, Thor set off down the line. Mr. Start would be lying if he said he wasn't nervous about this meeting. A lot rode on it, especially his public image. Deep down, he had a feeling this all would be for nothing, but he hoped that for once, his instincts were wrong. Unfortunately for Mr. Start, the meeting didn't go his way in the slightest. The board members all unanimously agreed that the reallocation of their most popular loco, as well as removing one of the 21 cathedrals currently placed in integral points of the network from their sheds, would do more harm than good. Mr. Start took it all in stride on the outside, but on the inside, the man was screaming his lungs out at the stupidity of the men he had to call colleagues. After the meeting, Mr. Start and Mr. Hoff were about to board the train up to Redwick. However, Mr. Start staggered behind.
Are you coming, sir?
Go on ahead, Jack. I have some things to think about. Cover me for a few hours, yeah?
Understood, sir. See you later.
Mr. Start waved the young man off as he walked over to the middle platform and sat down. He found watching unknown engines passing by quite therapeutic and helped him to think. Though he half expected things to turn out this way, it was still less than favorable. A cathedral was just what he needed to ensure the flyer would continue existing more than a few months before being declared a failure and non-profitable. He knew he would have to take action, and soon, but what could he do? The journey was longer than Mr. Stark expected, but after a while, the train rocketed over a bridge past some sheds before slowing its pace to come to a halt at a large station. Mr. Stark had never been to this island before, but a station sign reading New Harlot let him know that he had arrived. He exited his compartment and trundled over to the platform as the wyvern departed further into the island. Mr. Stark got a hold of a member of staff on the platform to figure out how to get in contact with the manager of the line, a man the young lad working there referred to as Lord Savelle. They quickly got given some directions and pointers on where to go, before being hurried to the other platform where a local train was preparing to depart. Mr. Stark dashed over and made it just in time as the train departed down the line. Meanwhile, back on the Redwood and Chiltern Hills, the absence of Mr. Stark had not gone unnoticed. Everyone had looked for him in all the places they could think of. His office, his home, the brothel, everywhere. Mr. Hoff once again took control of the line until Mr. Stark could be located. However, due to the short notice, he didn't get the time to keep all the engines on the line in check. So, gentlemen, you may be wondering why I've gathered you all here today.
To kill us?
To kill you.
You're not getting married, are you?
No, you twats! Mr. Stark is missing, and Mr. Hoff is too busy to notice off working off work. So, I figured we could have a little fun.
I hope you don't mean the same way as the jockstrap incident I heard about.
Don't remind me.
I hope not. Still haven't recovered mentally.
Well, no, I was thinking something more house party-like.
And just how do you propose we do all that?
I would be down, but there's a slight problem.
And that is...
There's no alcohol.
Oh, come on! You act like you don't know me!
Yeah, I got a delivery for Clark.
But I didn't order any alcohol.
Look, mate, I don't give a fuck. Just sign it and let me fuck off.
That's him here, the shunter!
Brilliant. Have a nice day.
What was that about?
I put your name on the order in case something goes wrong, so you get blamed.
Bastard!
Well, there's your alcohol. So then, who wants first servings?
Dips!
This is not gonna end well.
Mr. Stark soon arrived at Repford Junction, a connecting station where he had been informed he would most likely find Lord Savelle at this time of day. He disembarked from his train and looked around. He could hear the sounds of the nearby harbour, the seagulls, and the wind blowing through the trees. In the distance, huge mountain towered over the town, but most predominantly, he heard the sounds of conversations from the sheds nearby. He looked over and saw 3 engines, a well-spoken saint, a pannier tank, and a manor, seemingly from the same batch as Thor, were talking away. He figured that if anyone were to know where Lord Savelle was, it would be one of these 3. He made his way over, listening in on their conversation as he got closer.
Absolutely not. I could never bring myself to do such dirty work.
It was only a question, Bride. No need to get defensive. Besides, I work around goods trains all the time, and look at me.
You're filthy rook.
Alright, no need for that. Look, I pull freight trains from time to time. It's not that bad, Bride.
And your work is very much appreciated, young Rodley. But an engine in my class with a reputation to uphold would never be caught dead hauling a goods train.
I don't know, my saint helps me out with goods sometimes. I think he does a smashing job. The engines looked confused at the unfamiliar man standing in front of their sheds.
Can we help you, a weird person standing in our shed? You do know this is railway property, right? You might get hurt if you aren't careful.
And it's not very gentlemanly to eavesdrop.
My apologies for the intrusion. I meant no disrespect to any of you. I'm on a business trip from the mainland.
I take it you're looking for old Stovey then.
I believe so? I was under the impression his name was Lord Savelle. Bride was about to speak, but Rook cut her off.
Common mistake, sir, but yes, it's Lord Stovey.
The two other engines shot Rook a look, but didn't say anything. I see. I'll remember that. Thank you, sorry, I didn't get your name.
Yes, sorry, my name's Rook, sir. These are my colleagues and friends. That's Bride of Lammermoor, or Bride for short, if you're lucky. She's one of the last remaining saints in service. And this is Rodley, or Rods, from the latest batch of manors, pretty much fresh out of Swindon.
Yes, I figured as much. I know your younger brother, Thornton, quite well. Rodley perked up at this.
Wait, you know Thor? I haven't heard from him in ages. How is he?
He's doing quite well, working hard and making me proud every day. Quite a dedicated worker. He mentioned this place a few times when talking about his past. He misses his brothers a lot. I gathered you were all close?
Indeed we were. All of my batch were here at one point. I do miss those days. You mentioned something about your saint. Do you privately own them, or are you here to find somewhere for it to run?
Not quite. My name is Mr. Stard. I manage a line closer to London. Seb just happens to be allocated there at the moment. Bryden looked over and narrowed her eyes.
When you say Seb, do you mean that insane scoundrel Saint Sebastian?
Yeah, that's Seb all right.
In that case, you can keep him right where he is. We don't need him and his crazy antics disturbing the peace on our island. Not after less time.
Yeah, that's a deal. I need him where he is anyways for my future plans. Anyways, as pleasant as his talk has been, I really need to get in contact with your manager. Would any of you happen to know where he is at the moment?
Closer than you think.
Mr. Starr turned around to see a smartly dressed gentleman making his way over to him. His appearance made it quite clear that this was the man he was looking for.
So then, my good sir, what brings you to our humble island?
Nice to meet you. My name is Bradford Aaron Stard, manager of the Redwick and Chiltern Hills Railway. You must be Lord Stovey? Lord Savelle looked confused until Rook cracked up a little, with both Rod and Bride rolling their eyes.
You told him to call me that, didn't you, Rook? Worth it. Apologies for the behaviour of my pannier. The name is Lord Montague Savelle, not Stovey, like some of these lot tend to call me behind my back.
Ah, my apologies. Excuse me for one moment, please. Mr. Stard turned around and flipped Rook off, before turning back again.
Rude. Anyways, yes. I know of you and your railway. Our express service to London passes through Manifell sometimes. I've been there a few times myself.
I see. And yes, your express is how I managed to get over here on such short notice.
Interesting. I don't recall our express stopping at that station, though.
Red signals, mate.
Oh, that figures.
Anywho, I came over to discuss some business with you if you have the time. I know it's very short notice, so I hope I'm not intruding on any plans.
Not at all, sir. The rest of my day is clear. Tell you what, why don't we catch the next train down to Stomouth and discuss it there? I know just the place where the food is amazing.
Sounds good to me. And Bradford is fine. Lead the way.
As you wish, Bradford, right this way.
The two men made their way over to the platform. There, another engine was waiting to depart down the line that was unofficially called the Stouffville Valley Railway. Mr. Stard and Lord Savelle talked in great depth over the course of their meal, with Mr. Stard going into great detail on his current situation. Everything from Ramsay's failed trial, to the current economic issue with the Redwick Flyer, and finally, his failed request for a cathedral at the board meeting that very morning. By the time he was done, Lord Savelle was visibly deep in thought. So as you can see, I'm kind of running out of options here.
Yes, I can see that. So why come here? I'd love to help, but Alfriston is needed here on the Wessex Wyvern. I can't really spare him.
Oh no, don't worry, that's not why I'm here. But yes, it does have something to do with your cathedral. Kinda.
How so?
Well, if I recall correctly, the cathedrals built by Swindon only went up to 1819, with F.W. Hawksford's CME. And Alfriston, as well as another cathedral, was built later on this island, no?
That is correct, not forgetting 8022 as well, I might add. I bought the plans from Swindon once I'd tried a few of the original locos on the Wyvern.
So you can see why I want my hands on one then.
Other than wanting a huge unit of a loco?
Well, yes, other than that.
So what are you proposing here, Bradford?
Well, to be quite honest with you, I want to pay you to build me a new cathedral.
Yes, that is possible, of course. Wait, what? A new one? Do you know how expensive that's going to be? Especially with the works winding down to close and the material being quite scarce at the moment. The Wessex steel mill is struggling right now.
I can cover the cost, so don't you worry about that. And as for material, I have some contacts I can set you up with that can sort that as well.
I don't know. Are you sure about this?
Please, I'm running out of options here. I just want to bring the best service I can to the people in my home area.
Alright, Bradford. I'll make the arrangements. We'll be happy to build this cathedral for you. You'll have the honour of receiving the final locomotive built at Alfriston Works.
You mean it? I thought you would have thrown me into the Bristol Channel for even asking.
No, that's only if you don't pay me. The bailiffs around here are rather scrupulous.
Oh.
Anyway, if you give me the people to contact, I will get the material ordered and the details of the work sorted in the morning. You should probably find somewhere to stay before it gets too late.
Oh, don't worry about me. I'll be heading back home once we're done here.
Are you sure? There's going to be a lot of changing trains and waiting about.
Amazing. But yeah, I need to get back. I kinda didn't tell anyone I was leaving, and I don't trust my Grange not to ruin something in my absence. Anyways, it's been a pleasure. And thank you again for helping me, Lord Savelle.
Glad to be doing business with you, Bradford. Call me Montague. I foresee a good business partnership on the horizon for us.
Indeed. Well, it has been fun, Montague. But I should get going.
Of course.
Mr. Starr was about to depart, but Lord Savelle spoke up again.
Oh, Bradford, before I forget, did you have a name in mind for this engine?
Mr. Starr stopped and thought for a moment, before cracking a small smile. How about Redwick Cathedral? It's only fitting, no? Lord Savelle smiled back.
Consider it done.
The two men said their goodbyes as Mr. Starr made his way over to the platform at Stoma. This spontaneous journey of his had proven quite eventful, and though it was turning out to be a bit more expensive than he had hoped, he had a good feeling that it would all balance itself out in the near future. Mr. Starr departed his train at Manifel early the next morning. He was absolutely exhausted, having slept very little on his journey back. He walked like a zombie towards the back of the locomotive shed where his car was parked, but froze as he got closer to the sheds. What the actual fuck is going on here? Ugh, that was wild.
I can't feel my wheels, or my funnel, or my anything.
How did I get up here?
Burn, baby, burn.
Are you fucking kidding me? I leave for less than a day and you fuck everything up this bad? I can't trust you to do anything right. Where's Jack? What have you done to the goods sheds? I can't believe you lot. Like seriously, I just was gone for fucking 12 hours. This is impossible. There is no way in hell you could have fucked up this bad.
Common mistake, sir, but yes, it's Lord Stovey. I don't think I've ever heard anyone else call him anything other than Stovey before. That's all I've ever heard him called. Definitely not anything to do with Lord Savelle. I've never heard of this guy before, but our manager's called Stovey, and you call him Stovey, and he'll love you forever. Yes, sorry, my name's Rook, sir, and I shouldn't really be here at the moment, but I'm covering a freight train, so, you know, you're lucky to meet me.
Closer than you think.